That was the last episode.
Welcome back, everyone. There is a cover of a daily in New York that's got a lot of people talking, I think for deserved reason. New York Post cover photo shows the final moments of a Queens man who was reportedly pushed onto the subway tracks. Cover, it has sparked outrage by readers who say the photographer should have put down the camera and helped out. As you can read from the caption, pushed on the subway track, this man is about to die. And in fact, that man did die subsequently, and a lot of people are saying there's two legitimate questions. The second one about the paper that I'll get into, but the first one, a freelance journalist for the Post was there in an unrelated story, and he got that picture. While he was taking the photograph, the man was obviously in need of help hanging by his fingers on that edge of the platform. And apparently, as Tom was mentioning, if you will go inside the paper, there's even another photo that shows there was even more lead time than even that, where the train wasn't even in the caption. People are remarking about the Kitty Genovese story. If people remember, that was a woman who was raped, and there was a surrounding public heard the cries for help and didn't do anything to help. Whether or not there should be a moral or legal obligation to help, hopefully no one's going to disagree there's a moral obligation to help. But maybe on the minority. I believe you should be facing criminal punishment if there is someone in need and you don't lift a finger. And for anyone to debate about some journalism BS ethics, a person everybody could see was in harm's way here. Put down the flipping camera and help the guy out. It just drives me crazy when I see this. And I will tell you, I was in one circumstance where I saw something, I did something, and I was more mad at the surrounding people who never lifted a finger. And the answers as to why were, I didn't know I should get involved. Everybody knows instinctively you're supposed to do something. And these stories just drive me crazy. I'll get to the paper in a second here, but this guy, would you employ him if he worked for your newspaper?
No, I mean, he's done, and he should be shamed and tarred and feathered. And
well, apparently he was rewarded with a cover
listen, the bottom line, I mean, I 150% agree with you, except for the fact that you're putting the corporate responsibility second. And I have to tell you, the fact that the Post ran it on the front page encourages so many other photographers to do the same thing. That's, for me.
Can't overlook, as distasteful as this is, can't overlook the fact that the photog did his job. And the paper did its job by putting a picture on the cover that sold papers. So, in terms of the corporate business, I'm not saying I agree with either side of that. But I'm not saying I agree with either aspect of that.
But you can't run a snuff film, okay? There's laws against running a film here showing the real depiction of death. Why is it permissible to show the acts leading right up to it? There's no moment here with the photo, obviously, that we remember from Asia during the war here, where a person's head was being blown off, and that was about war, about the state of it and everything else. This was merely to sell papers for a rag. And for me, anyone trying to dress this up as journalistic integrity, give me a break. This guy was gutless. He was trying to get a shot, and as Tom said, there was a run-up to this. And he didn't do anything.
Let me nip the journalistic integrity argument in the bud, because you're talking about a newspaper that runs page 6 every day. So they're out to make money and sell newspapers. So, like, in terms of journalistic ethics, I agree with you that I think the guy should have jumped in and helped. But all I'm doing is pointing out that he did his job, and the paper did its job.
Did the paper do its job, Tom?
I think you have to raise the question of corporate responsibility. I mean, to put a photograph like that and to editorial or put the headline that they put on, it's
teasing
really,
you to see somebody thinking if you open up the paper and you plunk down your 50 cents, you're going to see the money shot of the guy dead. That's what the paper did with the lead.
What it does is it reinforces and enables all the qualities that you so abhor, right? It enables people being spectators of that kind of sensationalism rather than taking an
you know, let me take a different approach on this a little bit, is that I think that you would have sold just as many papers with the photo if the headline was, "Why didn't you help?"
Yeah.
You know, I mean, listen, I just think as a human being, there are moments when, I mean, you said everybody has a responsibility to jump in. You know, listen, I don't think if you're a young mother, you jump on the track to save the guy because you got 2 kids sitting there.
This is an able-bodied guy.
That's what I'm saying, is that if you look at the shot inside, the thing that struck me is that there was no train in the photo, and the poor man was sitting between the 2 tracks because he had just got pushed on the tracks. There was more than enough time to jump down there, grab the guy, and carry him off, just as a man did a few years ago. just as a human being, you would say, forget my photo, I'm putting the camera down, I'm going to help this man. That's all. I mean, that's all you can ask as a human being.
This segment, there's another story I want to get to, and it's not intended, although it's going to turn into a beatdown of Rupert Murdoch, who owns the Post, obviously, and he also owns Fox News. There was a story, many of you may have seen it today, came out where Fox News chief Roger Ailes reportedly tried to get David Patreaus to run for president against President Obama in 2012, obviously long before the Patreaus affair became public here. According to the Washington Post, Bob Woodward, in a video released by Woodward, Patreaus is heard speaking to Fox News' national security analyst, K.T. McFarland, someone we've had on the show on more than one occasion back in 2011. In the recording, McFarland told Patreaus that she had a message for him from Roger Ailes, accept no government position other than chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, and if he was refused, run for president. In fact, she made the point here, if you run, you'll get bankrolled here by Murdoch, the campaign will be run here by Roger Ailes, and we'll all, meaning the Fox News family, will all get behind you. I know nobody believes the fair and balanced of the thing anymore, so I'm not even trying.
Who cares? I mean, Richard, do you think every day the guys at MSNBC, the Keith Olbermanns of the world, when he was there and all those guys aren't having the same conversations? Hey, why don't you run against McConnell or whatever? Oh, please.
Here's my question.
He's an American. He gets to talk and say whatever he wants to do.
Here's the big difference for me.
What
At
is
around
it?
11 or 12 o'clock today, I thought the same thing as you. But then, wait a minute. You're saying, forget that the channel is a mouthpiece for one party. The MSNBC, you could argue the same thing.
Right.
You're talking about the guy who owns, we were just talking about more than one paper, the Wall Street Journal also, okay, and all the biggest daily broadsheet as it relates to financial affairs, and this channel. And that they were going to, in effect, pick a nominee. They were going to run the campaign, and the entire network was going to get behind one candidate. I would figure you, more than anybody else, would be mad about this. They would pervert the whole primary system.
They could do neither because early on, Fox News wanted anybody but Mitt Romney. So the fact is, they don't have that much sway in the world.
Wait a minute.
They don't.
If he took the bait and he said, fine, I'll run.
No. Patreaus would have maybe got the nomination because he's Patreaus, but not because Fox News was behind him.
If it's true, why wouldn't you guys be livid to say, who are you guys to be picking the nominee?
He doesn't get to pick the nominee, and I'm smart enough to know that he doesn't get to pick the. I'll go back to it. He didn't want Mitt Romney. Well, I don't know about Ailes, but certainly Sean Hannity and all those people didn't. They were all Newt Gingrich, Herman Cain, et cetera, et cetera. So their sway is, I mean, you overplayed a little bit.
I mean, I just
Do you think Fox could pick the nominee? I mean, be honest about it. No.
I actually think the Republicans are more disciplined and better
Right.
at using these arms than the Democrats are. Whether that means that
We keep losing. How do you
Agree
think
with me or
that?
disagree with me? I'm
I mean,
confused.
I
He
totally
disagrees
agree.
with you. He disagrees
I,
with you.
I agree with you that they're playing a huge role in determining national and international politics. I agree with Tom that they're not always effective or determinant.
Right. They're not.
But if there was a story that came out that the New York Times had decided
You
in
guys wouldn't tell us.
2014
You guys
that
wouldn't
they
tell us.
wanted Hillary Clinton to be the nominee,
don't
and
think
they
they
were
do?
going to guide coverage for positive stories for her and negative stories for somebody else. Do you know the hue and cry?
No.
The liberal
You guys wouldn't
media
even
were
talk about
controlling
it.
the message.
You wouldn't even talk about it. And do you think that somewhere at the New York Times or some other place,
it's a cabal, and we've
wait,
got a pit.
wait,
you know?
but
You can't
do
be
you think
surprised,
those
but you really can't
conversations
be
aren't?
surprised
You,
that Al's
you,
not
you
having
don't
these
think that the head of the
conversations.
Washington
Come on.
Post is having dinner with Hillary saying, "You got to run next time. You got to
is
get
what
in
they
this
do.
But
race."
he wouldn't be telling, in effect, the managing editor, write stories that are going to be geared to get her elected and to get the other guy find negative
really?
You know what
stories.
the problem
This all brings us back to
he doesn't
FDR,
think so.
because-
Thank you. That's well
You
done.
believe that Scott and I don't
No, but I
believe
mean,
that.
in Roosevelt's
I'm with
day,
you.
he assumed that he assumed the
Sorry.
publishers and the editors were against him. He held 2 press conferences a week, two a week, more press conferences than any president by far. And he went straight to the people. He used the fireside chat. He used it sparingly, but he used it very effectively, because he assumed that there was a hostile press towards his ideas, and that he had to get out directly to the people. And for me, this sounds it's very reminiscent of the sort of public or privately owned press that is in place to push this political agenda. And I totally agree with you. MSNBC represents the left.
Right.
Fox represents the right. But I find them both distasteful. I mean,
I actually find it.
We got to take a quick break here. We're going to keep the debate going in the break here. But when we come back, Mayor Cory Booker, he's going to try to live on $4 and change a day. The question is, can he do it? And is this food stamp challenge maybe about drawing attention to food insecurity in America, or attention for a politician who might be seeking higher office? Stay with us.